changed my mind about chemical engineering and decided to go to pre-medicine when I talked to a guy named Paul Marconi, friend of mine, real cool guy. He goes, yeah, I'm gonna be a cardiologist. I think I'm gonna run cardiology.
I'm gonna run cardiology.
And I was like,
you?
If that guy could run cardiology, I could at least do cardiology.
I have to say,
so a little bit of envy personally, seeing a friend of mine pursuing what ultimately I would wind up doing. That pushed me into, okay, I'm definitely not going to be an engineer anymore. I'm switching majors.
I have to say this real quick. That has been my personal fuel in my life. When I look at another guy and I look what he's doing, and I'm like, if he can do it, and I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, if he can do it, and you get to talk to him, especially that's why it's great when you get to get a moment to engage with people.
Yeah,
and this is not a knock.
Yeah,
this is if this guy can figure that out, why can't I figure that out? It's just my fuel. It gets me excited and it puts me in that trajectory. I'm gonna figure it out.
Iron sharpens iron.
That's a great point.
I think that was part of it, and I didn't realize
Proverbs
it at the time.
27 verse 17.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had scraped off that edge of chemical engineering in me.
That's good.
And now here's the crazy part, okay? Because, love my folks. They were doing everything they could to help me in college.
Absolutely. Yeah. Probably far better than where they were at from their parents, right?
Correct.
That continual launch pad.
Yeah. They were always supportive. They were always loving. Financially, there was limited funds to be able to help.
Sure.
So I come home with this crazy idea of I'm not going to be a chemical engineer anymore. I'm going to transfer to Texas A&M Corpus Christi, where they had a little bit larger of a program for pre-medicine. And I felt bad because I could have stayed on at Texas A&M Kingsville and done the same thing and let Exxon pay for it. But I felt bad. I was like, I'm probably taking somebody's scholarship that really wants to be a chemical engineer.
Makes sense.
And can't make it.
Right.
So you know what? I'm going to give up my scholarship. I'm going to transfer schools.
That's a faith move.
And I don't know any idea of how I'm going to wind up paying for this.
Wow.
So I came home and told my parents, and they thought it was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yes.
It is crazy.
What
did you have lined up? Did you have anything lined up at that point to pay for it?
I had a credit card for my first class for zoology that I put on a credit card where you get the free T-shirt, for signing up for this, credit card.
They need to bring those perks back.
Free T-shirt.
Free T-shirt. Welcome to your debt. Free T-shirt.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was a nice shirt. It was really nice. It went with a lot of things. But so I decided to, at that point, transfer schools. And the incentive with a friend to push myself into pre-medicine. At that point, being a pilot faded and being a doctor increased significantly.
And at this point, you're what, 20?
I was about 19, almost 20 years old.
Pivotal times. Yeah.
So I walked into my first class that I paid for with a credit card, $400 at the time, $400 or $500. And my parents were still mad. They still didn't understand.
Yeah,
they still didn't do any
what
of that.
Are you doing?
And I met Dr. Chopin, zoology professor. That was my first class into dedicated, I'm going to be a doctor no matter what, and I was fired up. Well, Dr. Chopin saw a fire in this kid, the snot-nosed kid that paid for his class with a credit card.
I love this.
And she said, I see you're very optimistic about you're doing really well with grades. You're very enthusiastic about this. I need a research assistant to help with some of these projects that I'm doing.
Dude.
Would you mind helping?
It's a paid position.
And it's a paid position. And
That's
I'm like,
big deal.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So, talk about a faith step, going from Kingsville, giving up a scholarship. Sounds crazy.
It is
to
crazy.
Start
it is crazy.
One credit card, meet that one person, that one professor that paves the way for you.
Wow.
Ultimately, Dr. Chopin would be instrumental in me getting into medical school. I didn't know it at the time. I just knew that she was a cool teacher and that she had really awakened in me the scientist in me to pursue medicine. And
that's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a way to pay for it, pay for your class, your
Yes.
first class.
So that first semester, ultimately picking up those tabs, went from a 3.0 to a 4.0 that next semester, because I was just, at that point, the fire was lit. I was on fire, and nothing was going to stop me from going to medical school at that point, at least in my mind.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know which way it was going to happen. I don't know which state, but I knew I was going to do that, become a physician as a profession.
So you go from 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, making the change. A lot of students do this. They'll make they have when they're in high school, they set their trajectory, and then in their middle of it, and they have this like epiphany moment, like, I really want to do that.
Yes.
Right. But the thing that you had was you had the full ride at that point, or partial ride to get you there. Was it a full ride or a partial?
It paid for most of my expenses.
Wow.
I mean, I had to pay for my books, but
that's pretty much a full ride.
Yeah.
At that point, you're like, no, medical.
Yes.
I'm going to make that detour. I'm going to go medical, and at that point, boots and all.
Yes.
Buckle up. We're going to make it happen.
Buckle up. And
I'm going to pay for it somehow. You're going to figure out a way to pay for it.
We're going to figure this point out. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm going to do it anyways.
That's huge. That's such a big deal.